Having served more than 50 clients in 2 years, I have sent 27 million e-commerce emails. 27 million. Now, when you've sent this many emails, you start to understand what works and what doesn't work in email marketing. So in this video here, I'm going to go over the best practice in 2024 for email copy and email design. I'm then going to talk over the only 4 things that you need for an effective email strategy. And I'm going to end off with the 5 most common clever mistakes that 6, 7, and 8-figure brands make that you want to avoid. So let's get straight into it. But before we get into the video, I did just attach a little bit of proof here. You can also see this in the doc, which I'll link below. But in case anyone wants to run the numbers, I'm not a math guy personally, but you can add these all up in calculator and you'll get a number as exactly what is in the title. So let's get into the first stage, which is just the best email practice for copy and design. So here's the structure of 97% of the emails that you're going to write, which is basically you can have a logo, you can have a header, a CTA, a body copy. You might have another CTA, or maybe you'll show off some products, maybe some categories. You might have some USPs, and then you might finish off with like some reviews, maybe some social proof, some before and afters, and finally a footer. Now, here's what this is going to look like in practice. So you can see here, this is just a template we created for a client. Logo, header, header image, subheader, CTA, body, product, CTA, USPs, and footer. And then here's what it's actually going to look like in its final form. Now, to add a little bit more context to what your emails are actually going to look like, you first have to start with the copy, because your copy is always going to dictate how your design actually looks. So let's get into the best email copy practice. So starting off with the subject lines and the preview text, because this is the first thing that your customers are going to see. So subject lines, they should be less than 6 words long. They should drive curiosity, and you can also use emojis to get more attention. Now your preview text, this should be less than 8 words long, and it should add a little bit of context to the subject line and maybe tease some of the info inside of the email. So just for some sample structures for you here, the subject line could be get a free gift valued at $30. You can see here there's an emoji of a dog, and then the preview text can be choose between a hair remover, odor destroyer, or a leash. Again, you can see how that combo kind of teases the email and makes someone want to click on it. The next example here we have, this is just taken straight from an abandoned cart. So you left something in your cart as a subject, and then the preview text, enjoy free shipping in Australia and New Zealand, buy now, pay later, letting people know that they have that option at checkout. Now, when it comes to the body of an effective email, it's really quite straightforward. So how to actually write good emails. Good emails, they're short and to the point, right? No one wants to read an essay in their inbox. They should also have an element of storytelling, because that is actually what's going to keep your customers engaged. And you want to have a consistent tone of voice with the rest of your marketing, right? So if the rest of your marketing, like your Instagram or your TikTok or whatever it might be, if that feels all super professional, then you want to keep your emails in a professional tone of voice as well. But if they feel quite memey, if they feel quite Gen Z, if you're saying things like Zoomer and blah, 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 or whatever else, then you want to keep that consistent tone of voice in your emails as well. You want to provide readers as well with genuine value, right? If someone opens your email and they take 30 seconds out of their day to open it, they should actually feel like they have gotten some sort of value. Maybe they learned something, maybe they were entertained, or maybe they found out something about your brand that they didn't know before. And it should focus on driving the click. Sales don't happen in your emails, they happen on your website. So you want to drive people to actually click on the links that you have in your emails. Now, bad emails, it's basically just going to be the opposite of everything here. But if there were 3 main things I would say, it's that bad emails are typically just too long and wordy. Again, no one wants to read a peer-reviewed essay in their inbox, right? No one's actually going to interact with that. People are going to open it and they're just going to dip straight away. Bad emails, they also don't educate or entertain your readers at all, and they focus too much on selling the product, right? You might see an email like this where it just basically says, buy our stuff, buy our stuff, buy our stuff. And there is a time, there is a place for that, but I would say 80% of your emails should not be like that. Now, for best email design practice, there's a few things that you want to keep an eye on. So firstly, you want to make sure that your emails are designed with mobile optimization in mind. This means you have your font easily legible on mobile. So what you don't want is your customers opening up your email and then they need to like pinch to zoom in, or like they need to bring their phone up to their face like this just so they can actually read it. That's going to make for a really odd experience for them. And you want to make sure that your emails are optimized for dark mode. If your customers are using dark mode, which is super common nowadays, and if they're using dark mode on Gmail or Outlook or Apple Mail or whatever it might be, if your emails aren't optimized for dark mode, then they're going to get like weird colors. The emails are just not going to look as you intended. It's going to make for a really poor experience. The next, your emails need to look like an extension of your website or your social media. So that means your emails need to be branded, right? They need to follow the same color palette as your website or your Instagram. They need to have the same font of your headers or your body text as your website. And your CTAs need to match. And what that means is if your CTAs on your website are rounded, then your emails need to have round CTAs. Or if they're super sharp and super rectangular and angular, then your emails need to match as well. Next, you want to use graphics to break down any information, right? This is really pushing that concept of show, don't tell. It's a lot easier for your customers to skim read your emails if there's easy graphics for them that they can understand. And finally, you want to focus on driving the click. So the two key things here is having your CTAs nice and big and super, super obvious, right? You want to have them contrast the rest of your email. And then you want to use like kind of strategies of visual hierarchy to make sure that the CTA is where naturally people are going to click. So bringing all of this together, you can see here, I've just prepared 5 emails that we've created recently, and they're all going to follow very consistent themes. So you can see that the structure of every email is very similar. You can see that we've got a header, we've got a header image, we've got a CTA, and then maybe we have some USPs, maybe we have other grids or maybe other graphics for you to check out. So for example, in this email here, we've got this nice big video that we want people to click on, and there's a big button here that says play now with the play button. Next, you can see we have the USPs, we're pushing categories, and the next one you can see we're introducing the founder. Then right at the bottom, we have a really skimmable us versus them comparison chart. So a customer can look at that and easily understand what's going on. This next email here, you can see at the top, the button is nice and big, and then again, as you scroll down, you start to see exactly what we want to explain in a nice step-by-step order. And finally, the last email, very similar vibes. Now, of course, you could have the best designed and written emails, but they're really only going to be as effective as the strategy that they're in. So here's what an effective email strategy looks like. So there's really 4 key things in an effective email strategy. So firstly, you need a strong pop-up that drives email list growth. 2, you need your core flows set up, and you want to be doing tests on them maybe once or twice a month. 3, you want a regular campaign cadence, so regular campaigns being sent out with a pretty good segmentation strategy. And lastly, you just want your deliverability to be on point. So an effective email strategy is always going to start with a strong pop-up that drives email list growth. Now, there's a few key things that you need to know for your pop-ups. So firstly, it should have a compelling offer to sign up. Now, that could be 10% off, it could be $50 off, it could be free shipping, it could be like a free gift with purchase. And you don't want to ask for too much info, right? Like people barely want to give you their email address. They might want to give their phone number. And I don't know, maybe if they really like you, they might give you their first name. But I've seen some ridiculous forms that'll have all of these forms straight on the pop-up. It'll ask for your name, your birthday. It'll ask what products you want to see. It'll ask like what your blood type is, right? Like it's ridiculous, you know? So people, if they see a bunch of things that they need to fill out, they're just going to click out. Keep it nice and simple and don't ask for too much info. Next, you want to make sure that your copy is short and to the point. It just has to focus purely on the offer. And it is going to vary per industry, but typically you want your pop-up forms to convert at anywhere from 6 to 12%. Now, this is an example of a really effective pop-up. You can see here, the copy is nice and simple. Get $50 off your first order. The subtext, again, it kind of adds more context to that. They're just asking for the email. The CTA, it's super obvious. It stands out. It's in red. The copy here is get your code. And then there's just a jack dude because it gets attention. Next, you want to make sure that your core flows are set up. Now, at a bare minimum, you should have a welcome series that's 2 to 4 emails long. Your abandoned cart, your abandoned checkout should be another 2 emails. Your post-purchase should be 2 emails, and then maybe you can have a viewed product flow at 1 email. Again, this is just like a bare bones foundational core flow kind of setup. Now, your flows, they should drive about half of your total email marketing revenue. So if you're sending campaigns, they should make about half of your email revenue, and the flows should be the other half. And flows should drive anywhere from 15 to 25% of your brand's total revenue. Now, you're probably not going to get that, to be honest, with this setup. But look, if you are looking for a full breakdown and training on how to properly set up your Klaviyo flows, check out my channel, or I'll just link something on the screen, and then you can get a full in-depth 20-minute training on how to set up your full flows properly. So after you have your core flows set up, you want to supplement them by sending 2 to 4 campaigns to your list every single week. Now, the first thing here is that sending frequently is not annoying. If your customers have like burning questions about your brand, or maybe even about like the problem that they're facing, and if those answers magically appear in their inbox, they're not going to be upset about that, right? You just got to have to send good content. Next, you want to ensure that you're not just sending offers in people's inbox, right? People don't want to know about like your 20th flash sale of the week, right? You want to actually be sending engaging content that genuinely adds value to people's day. And lastly, you don't want to blast your entire list. Send to an engaged segment. So you can pause the video, or you can screenshot this, or whatever you want to do. It's actually also linked in the doc in the description. But this is the exact list that we send majority of the time to, which is an 120-day engaged list. For the fourth and final pillar of an effective email strategy, you're looking at deliverability. Now, this is the kind of boring part of email strategy that no one really wants to talk about, but it is debatably the most important part, because you could have like beautiful emails that could be really well written. You could have the best email marketing strategy in the world, but it's not really going to matter if your emails are landing in spam and no one sees them anyway. So I'll keep it nice and short for you. But firstly, you want to have the tech stuff set up. So inside of Klaviyo, you want to have your dedicated sending domain set up, and have your sending domain match your web domain. Next, don't send to people who are unengaged with your brand, right? Like that's the most surefire way of actually landing in spam, which is sending stuff to people who don't want to be spoken to, right? Next is clean your email list regularly. So if someone hasn't engaged with your email list with your emails in 120 days or more, just remove them from your list, right? It's more than likely they're not going to engage with future emails. And if anything, they're probably even forgotten that they're on your email list. Then lastly, you just want to send good content that people engage with, right? Bad delivery only happens when people don't engage with your emails at all. But if you send good content, and if people start to know that your brand sends good content, then they're going to start opening your emails, and all of the email service providers are going to say, hey, this brand actually sends good emails that people engage with. Let's deliver them right to the primary inbox. Now, you can have all of these strategies on point, but it's not going to mean anything if you're making any of these common email marketing mistakes. So here are the 5 most common email marketing mistakes that you want to ensure you avoid. Let's speedrun these 5 mistakes, starting off with the first, and that is only sending offers and discounts. So your customers, again, they don't want to hear about the 12th flash sale that you've had this month, right? You want to be sending valuable content that they actually want to know about your brand or about the problem that they're trying to solve. Which leads us into problem number 2, and that's selling too hard in emails. So look, your emails, they're not designed to sell. They're designed to push traffic to your website. That means you want to go for the click. So you do that by introducing your brand and your products in your emails. But at the end of the day, right, you have to let your website do the selling. Number 3 is blasting your entire email list. This is by far the quickest way to run your deliverability, because not everyone on your email list is going to actually want to hear from your brand, and sending emails to them is how you get marked as spam. So ensure you're only sending to the engaged segment, and clean out your list for anyone that doesn't engage with your content anymore. Mistake number 4 is not optimizing for mobile. So over 80% of your email activity occurs on mobile. So you need to actually be optimizing for this. This includes your pop-ups, your designs, and your copy. And as mentioned earlier, this means that you want to make sure that your font is easily legible on a phone, and you want to make sure that you're optimizing for dark mode. And finally, mistake number 5, which is double opt-in on your welcome series list. So if someone is keen to buy using your pop-up offer, then it's just such a buzzkill. Right? Like, people have already given permission at the pop-up stage to receive marketing emails. So just leave this off. And I promise you, if you actually do have double opt-in on, just by switching it to single opt-in, you are literally going to see a double in revenue increase in your welcome series, which is your most profitable flow. So on screen here, you're going to see how to do it. It's a very simple setting switch that you're going to see. It's in the settings in your email list inside of Klaviyo. So just switch that, do yourself a favor, or just make sure that it's never ever on. And that's literally it. So don't overcomplicate it. This is everything that I've learned about what actually works in email marketing after sending 27 million or more emails and generating more than $25 million in email marketing revenue for our clients. Now, as a recap, you want to write and design good emails. You want to then execute on the 4 core pillars of an effective email strategy, and you want to avoid the 5 common mistakes with email marketing. And after that, you will literally drive up to 30% of your brand's total store revenue completely from email marketing. So now that you know what works in email marketing, you're also going to need to know how to actually create your core flows. So I recorded this full in-depth 20-minute training video on the proper way to set up your 8 core flows to drive 15 to 20% of your brand's total revenue completely on autopilot. So I'm going to link that video on the screen and I might link it in the description somewhere as well. I hope that video was helpful. Subscribe to the channel, lots of content on the way. You can follow me on Twitter here at I am Ramo Flow. I'll also link it in the description, and join our newsletter for more free content on maximizing your email marketing revenue. So leave a comment if you have any questions. Otherwise, I will see you in the next one.